Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture and Justice League Monday. Man, we're in that final 10 phase here. We got Justice League America number 44 from November of 1990, so we're actually back close to the same time of year here. Can America withstand the threat of a guy named Tortellini? Tortellini? That's a SpongeBob reference for anybody out there who gets it. Story by Giffen and DeMatteis, art by Hughes and Martian. We also have Justice League Europe, number 20. Story by Giffen and Jones, art by Rogers and Smith. Can Europe survive the coming of the Beefeater? So very much going for a sort of twofer here, See how kind of bookended in a way, right? Okay, we're going to take a look at Justice League America first. With pastiche. It's actually get me to get that centered. Okay. You talking to me? You talking to me? There's nobody else here. Who else are you talking to? Let's have a round of applause for those adorable little rascals: Keith Giffen, Nervous Breakdowns, James DeMatteis, Psychobabble, Adam Hughes, Going on Vacation, Jose Marzan Jr., Inker, Bob Lappin, Letterer, Gene D'Angelo, Colorist, Kevin Dooley, Desperately Wants a Promotion, Andrew Helfer, actually went on an airplane. What they mean by going on an airplane, we just don't know. But probably means he just flew on one. Okay, so we got Wally Tortellini. Now, if you recall last issue, which we talked about last Monday, Wally won a whole bunch of supervillain gizmos in a poker game in the Darkside bar after he had befriended Sonar. And in fact, he has Sonar's gun, he has Brainwave's helmet, he has the Cavalier's sword, Crowbar's crowbar, he has Black Mass's power bracelet dealy bobs. Do you call them bracelets or gauntlets? I don't remember now exactly, but he's got all this stuff now, and he's playing with it in his room, trying to figure out what exactly he's going to do. Maybe he's even thinking of becoming a superhero, perhaps. And by the way, if you will notice on his wall, here we have a girly calendar, which you can actually see a little better there. But over here, black, you can kind of see somebody holding a microphone. Kind of looks like, it's a Velvet Elvis painting. So one thing we know about Wally Tortellini is he has excellent taste. I was actually just chatting about that yesterday with my wife. I would, in fact, hang a Velvet Elvis on the wall if I had the opportunity. So he's playing with Sonar's little sound gun and manages to set it off and blow a giant hole in his wall. And hey, well, maybe nobody will notice. I mean, this is New York, for crying out loud. Everybody I know's got cracks in their walls the size of, okay, so maybe it's a little bit more than a crack. So while he's doing that, there are things going on outside. Oh, and by the way, he does say here, maybe I can crash with my sister for a few weeks, just until I get my career as a supervillain off the ground. So he's definitely going for supervillain, not superhero. But there's things going on outside. You have all these guys who look kind of like feds, who are prepping to go in and get something from Wally. Now, what is it they want to get? Well, it's going to turn out to be his notebook with all of this information on the Justice League. That's the stuff that he got by combing through their trash some mini issues back. It was for a big exclusive, and I think it was Spy Magazine or something like Spy Magazine. So while they're prepping to go in, that's when the wall is blown out by his sonar gun, and they think, oh boy, he knows we're here. This is going to be a tough fight. And of course, he does not know that they're there, but he does decide he better get out of there pretty quickly, and then walks outside into sort of an ambush. Don't move. Don't, what does it say? Don't move. Don't talk. Don't breathe. All right. Next to Gold Drugs. Is there actually a Gold Drugs in, I think he does mention it being in Brooklyn. So any Brooklynites out there can maybe tell us if that's a real place. So they got him surrounded, and they got guns on him and the whole 9 yards here. And He first thinks maybe this is because this is ex-wife has sent them for back alimony payments. Then he thinks maybe they're the law. He goes, this has got nothing to do with your ex-wife, Tortellini. Now give us the damn notebook or we'll take it off your corpse. You're not the cops. You're not the feds. Rhoda didn't send you. You know, guys, this changes everything. Oh, big smile. And we see that this whole situation is being monitored somewhere else, some big building. So we know that there's some, you know, sort of a kingpin of crime behind it, but not the kingpin of crime. And I'll be honest, I'm not really sure who this guy is. I guess we'll have to keep on watching Justice League Mondays to find out, you know, or maybe go read the comic book somewhere. So he's monitoring this and realizes that things are not going very well at all. He's hearing, you know, what's being said there. You know, if any of those fools make it back in one piece, I believe I shall have them eliminated. You jerks are going to rue the day you took on the spectacular Wally man. Blam, blam. He's got some kind of force field or something. The bullets aren't touching him. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Tortellini knows. Bwah! So they got a bwah there. For sure. Meanwhile, in the dark side bar, the criminals who lost their goodies are in kind of a bad way. There's the Cavalier freaking out, you know, and they think he cheated at the poker game, and we have, you know, they're trying to deal with their loss here. Look, Mortimer, don't call me that. Do you think I would have changed my name to the Cavalier if I'd liked the name Mortimer? Sorry, but look, all of you, what's done is done. We've been through worse, and we've always managed to bounce back. He's right. A toast, then, to better days, to better days. But what are they hearing on the news? From the scattered reports we're receiving, those involved appear to be Sonar, Black Mass, Brainstorm, Crowbar, the Cavalier, and BlackRock. There's a riot going on, and it's being reported that they're the ones who are doing it, and we get a wonderful series of spit takes there as they hear that they are right now committing a very, you know, major crime that they have nothing to do with. Meanwhile, back at Justice League Embassy, Justice League headquarters, we have Light Ray and Guy Gardner playing chess. Of course, Guy doesn't really quite know what he's doing. He's also referring to Orion as Oreo, and the name isn't Oreo, it's Orion. Here's the one bit I did like. This is a nice little piece that's sort of just off to the side. There we go. Get that from Blue Beetle is playing pool with Green Flame. And you notice how she's posed, and you look at his eyes. There's something that's distracting the poor boy, distracting him terribly. And we do see, I think at a different point, you see what she's wearing, and you kind of understand, you know, why the guy is distracted, the poor fool. Well, they're getting the news here at the embassy, which combatants are involved. We have John and Guy going at it, and he's like, you know, we gotta scramble all available personnel to go deal with this problem. And at first, Guy's kind of excited. He likes a little senseless violence, but if all available personnel includes O'Brien and Tightwad, in other words, Orion and Light Ray, then you can count me out. Oh, but Guy, do you want them busting heads that could have been yours to break? Huh. Well, when you put it that way, I knew I could count on you. So Guy, yeah, I mean, John knows how to push Guy's buttons. Splatterhouse, little cartoon ad here for a video game from Namco. Never played it. It looks delightful. I mean, with a name like Splatterhouse, it would almost have to be. We go back to the riot. Wally is going ape on these guys, lifting cars, crashing them down. They can't get anywhere. So they then get the information the Justice League is incoming. We need to get out of here. Let's clear out. They throw a flash grenade, which knocks Wally. He was kind of floating in the air through this deli window, and it blinds him. I can't see. Oh my goodness, is he blind? Well, no, actually, he has the helmet down over his eyes. So he manages to tug the helmet off of his eyes, which sends him back through the window onto the ground. And who does he see? Yeah, Cavalier, Crowbar, Blackrock, Sonar, Black Mass, and Brainwave. They don't look particularly happy. Let's take a look at, because again, really fantastic art. Obviously, you don't get much of a facial expression from Blackrock, but gotta love the character he gives to each of these villains. And like I was saying, I think in the last one, these are villains who didn't necessarily get a whole lot of character work back in the day when they were a going concern in DC Comics. It was usually kind of villain of the week, or I guess villain of the month, I should say. And, they were mostly defined by their costumes and their powers, and probably had very similar styles, ways of talking, etc. They're super villains. That's how they talk. Here they're actually getting a little bit more personality for some of these villains. So even though they're kind of making fun of them a little bit, they're actually doing them some good as well and making them, I think, more viable characters moving forward if they want to use them. And I will point out, Cavalier, for a while there, Cavalier was showing up in Batman comics. This is like back in the 40s, 50s. I think maybe more 40s. He was showing up about as often as the Joker was. Cavalier was a major Batman villain for a time. Time did not last very long. Well, the supervillains have had enough, and they're taking their stuff back. He's like, but I want it fair and square. And it's like, they're supervillains. They don't really care. And also, they don't want to get blamed for all of this. And just as they're getting ready to head on out, Crowbar says, I wouldn't worry too much about the police. Why not? Because we've got bigger problems. What do you... Oh, no. And there it is. The Justice League. And now you notice, by the way, Orion, who had some sort of new looking armor on in the last one, looks like he's back to his more traditional costume, which is good because I think it looks a lot better than the thing they had him in the last time around. So the villains all take off. They're coming down after them. So you get sort of the one-on-ones. You got Green Flame going up against Brainwave, who's like, this isn't just a hat, you fool. With it, I can hurl starbolts. I can move objects. I forgot to turn it on. Yeah, so he goes down pretty easy. Black Mass uses his gravity control stuff to start flying away, but has his bracelets pulled off of him by Guy Gardner. The dude goes falling. I love that you can sort of see that he's kind of, you can barely make it out, but he's kind of flapping his arms as he's going down. I can't fly. I'm going to fall. I'm going to die. So he's losing it. The Cavalier goes running down this alley and gets clotheslined by Blue Beetle. We all forget Blue Beetle actually can fight, and they did say in one of them, his mind is actually probably just about as powerful as the Martian Manhunters in terms of resisting, I think it was Despero, resisting his powers. Light Ray goes up against Crowbar, not really that difficult for him, and Orion is just like going ham on, I believe it's Blackrock there. I give up, I surrender, uncle, uncle, uncle. You disappoint me, maggot. A worthy opponent would have chosen death over such craven belly crawling. What can I say? I'm just a belly crawling kind of guy. Very reminiscent of like a Daffy Duck line from old Looney Tunes. They're obviously a big inspiration of this. And then we have Sonar. Thinks he's managed to get away, and then loses his gun to the Martian Manhunter. And so they don't really have a name for this group because they're not really a group at all. But so they managed to get pulled in by the Justice League, and nobody even notices Wally Tortellini. And off he goes, but then he sees this car waiting for him. They're still going to be after him. So what does he do? He goes to John Jones, and he hands over his notebook. By the way, love it. You have B down there posing for the photographers because she digs that kind of thing. You know, you just sometimes you almost don't even notice the art. You're busy reading. It's so good. Adam Hughes, I know he draws a lot of pin-up-y kind of stuff, but the dude can just draw period, and nice angles, that he chooses, and the way he puts the guy in the foreground. Remember, look, sort of the flat colors, the more color behind him. These guys knew how to make comic books, Yeah, they had their own style of drawing, but they understood how to tell stories sequentially and how to set up interesting panels and all that kind of good stuff. So we get a little scene here with Max and John about the notebook. He's like, this is potentially embarrassing material. And he's like, all right, well, we got it. But he goes, what does he say here? Oh, yeah, well, read the part where he discusses the psychological links between your Oreo addiction and your dysfunctional upbringing on Mars. What? And then tell me more about the nature of the game. I'll have this burned immediately and eat the ashes myself. Good idea. So they're going to destroy that thing. And so we're back at the Dark Side bar, putting the names of these guys in the jail category now because, they've been taken to jail. And we get this dude here. I should have been there with them, Ira. Maybe there was something I could have done to help. Yeah, you could have kept them company in the paddy wagon, or maybe ended up in traction like BlackRock. Jeez, that guy Orion's a maniac. So I've heard. Can you imagine what that nut'd do if he ever stumbled onto this joint? Get real, Ira. What possible reason could Orion ever have for coming here to the dark side? Next, A Date with Density, Part 2. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Guy and Ice are having a second date. Okay, there's our Justice League America for this one. We also have sort of a funny in-between issue for Justice League Europe. And this kind of hits because the day I'm filming this, we have just found out that Prunella Scales, famous as Basil Fawlty's wife in Sybil in Fawlty Towers, has just passed away. God bless her. Godspeed. Wonderful, funny actress. Does a great job in that show. And the opening to this is based off of Fawlty Towers. We have this guy who's sort of the kind of the liaison in the London embassy of the Justice League, who is looking for the costume of his father. His father was called the Beefeater. He has this power rod, the hat with the mask. I'll be honest with you. I love the design of this character. I know it's goofy, but I actually really love it. I'm probably never going to get an action figure of the Beefeater, but I kind of wish they would. Honestly, I would probably buy it. And so he's wandering out, he's up in the attic doing that. We have his wife who's on the phone, Oh, lovely. Really? Yes. And how are things in your end, Mr. Lord? Pardon? He sent a memo, you say? Well, Michael and his silly, oh, do tell. Yes. Well, then you must speak with him, mustn't you? You could really picture the lines coming out of Prunella Scales. So Maxwell Lord got a memo from this guy, and he's not real pleased with it. We have her screaming his name, and she goes up and finds him trying on this silly costume, and he's, of course, very much like Basil Fawlty. He's a bit on the chauvinistic side towards the British. Oh, I beg your pardon, dear. What a fool I am to think a Justice League embassy shouldn't have a bleeding hero in it. And how dare I imagine that there ought to be one lousy Brit in the Justice League International. Really, dear, I have been an idiot, haven't I? So he's kind of annoyed that there's no British heroes in the Justice League. And he talks here about, his father fighting alongside General Glory, mopping up the bloody Nazis, winning respect for old England. There were heroes in those days. Wait a minute, General Glory? Was there ever a General Glory in the DC universe? Well, stay tuned, folks, because there's gonna be a General Glory in the DC universe before real long. Of course, she's like, yeah, your father, I think he got injured like the first day, and he really was just a comic book character for the most part. So he decides he's going off to the Justice League embassy in Paris. He's joining the League, whether they want him or not, off he goes. Now, back in Paris, the League is having a little bit of fun, and we notice here, More sequential panel art fun from Keith Giffen, Gerard Jones, Marshall Rogers, Bob Smith, Bob Lappin, Gene D'Angelo, Andy Dooley, Kevin Helfer. So we got Marshall Rogers doing the art in this one. So they're all out having a good time because they have basically converted the empty lot next door into a sort of a beach. I mean, there's sand, which, the wife of Rocket Red is asking the kids, well, why aren't you playing in the sand? Yeah, because the cat got there first. Okay. Now, this comes, some of this is happening after Justice League Europe Annual #1, which I have not reviewed because, got to draw the line somewhere. And I did draw the line at the annuals in this one. Well, the boys are out there. They're playing football, of course, trying to teach, Dimitri how to play football. The ladies are chatting. The kids are not really playing all that much. And then Wally West, the Flash, he actually does a take that he really could do. He could whip his head around that quickly, because out into the lot comes Power Girl. We got all the Frenchmen, oh mon coeur, ma chérie, what is it? Quelle jambe, remarkable, a hubba, 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 ooh la la, magnifique. Sigh. I guess it was too much to hope that the French would pick today to disprove their stereotype. So she walks out, and of course, Wally's just about as bad, and she's very annoyed at all of that. Some really good art, some solid stuff. And here we have Michael, I just kind of want to call him Basil Fawlty, showing up, and he sees this whole crowd of people outside the embassy and thinks, how am I going to get in there? Well, I know what I'll do. I'll put on my costume, and that will get people out of my way. You see him here in the men's room, not grunt, bloody gut. And this guy's like, I wish these Brits would keep their perversions on their side of the channel. Which Michael is sort of a Persian. By the way, there's Splatterhouse again. Yeah, they were advertising and everything that month, apparently. Well, so we got a couple things in play. We got Michael, the Beefeater, showing up to join the Justice League, whether they like it or not. We have the Justice League outside, enjoying themselves, being watched by a crowd of onlookers. Inside the embassy, we have Kilowog doing some work on the power system. Now, what does he have here? He has a tachyon something or rather. We're in Star Trek The Next Generation territory, so tachyons were friggin' everywhere. And if this thing, which is it's not only going to power the embassy, it could power 3 or 4 embassies. If it gets cracked, there's going to be something bad that happens. All right. Here he is showing up, being very rude to the crowd as he pushes through. And he uses his card, he gets into the embassy, but when he does, it sets off the alarm. Whoop, 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 whoop. And the defense systems go into action against him, and we have these sort of padded things hitting him. Nice running shot. This is the kind of run that you would see like in an old Archie comic. All right? Because old Archie comics were more cartoony, at least back in the old days. And this is a cartoony segment, so we're not going to draw him running in a very realistic way. We're going to make his run more cartoony. That makes the whole thing work here. That's how it's done, folks. Well, in the process of him doing this, and Kilowog is like, what is going on here? And he sees this guy, he's like, it must be some kind of a supervillain. He probably wouldn't recognize the uniform the guy has on. Probably some kind of supervillain. Even though I don't have everything hooked up, yet. The security system can take care of him, no problem. But then he manages to fire a blast through the floor. Don't tell me you didn't. You couldn't. You wouldn't. Oh, yeah. It hits the tachyon casing, and it's cracked it, And we have him trying to, again, be very super heroic because he thinks, oh, my God, there's an alien. We've been invaded by aliens. You took on a tad too much when you took on the British, didn't you? The Yanks and Ruskies and French were one thing, but, Poozer, will you just listen to me? Only if you've got something bloody important to say. Yeah, well, try this. That little number is going to blow and take this whole building with it. Oh, really? Well, that is important, isn't it? Take the whole building, you say? Really? I love, by the way, look at the way they write really, right? Which just makes it, a very British way of shouting really. Okay, so our John Cleese stand-in is picked up by Kilowog, who goes running outside. These folks all see see him crashing. The Captain Adam's like, oh God, what now? What now? And the house begins to crack and begins to fall and is sucked into a giant hole. It essentially implodes. The Paris embassy of the Justice League has just been destroyed. Nice sequence here as we see everybody's faces. And then we get the next one with a little bit of change as they all start getting angrier and looking down. Oh, fine then. Blame me. So what ultimately happens? Actually, let's finish this little bit up first, and we'll talk about what ultimately happens next time. I'm getting ahead of myself. Silver Sorceress and Blue Jay exploring their new homeworld, because obviously they're not going back to the other one, and they come home from shopping, and what do they see but a giant hole where the house used to be? There was an embassy there this morning, wasn't there? You know, Jay, after everything that's happened, I'm not sure of anything anymore. Yeah, well, Ralph said we were going to have to get used to things like this. I just hope nothing happened to my new black leather jacket. Yeah, kind of did. Next, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. Yeah, they're going to have a shopping trip because everything they own has just been destroyed. There we go. A couple funny issues for Justice League America and Justice League Europe. Wally Tortellini is going to show up again later in Justice League Europe. The Beefeater will show up again later as well, although I don't know if it'll be an issue I'm going to cover before the end of the year, because we're going to issue number 52, and by golly, we're getting close. Well, there you go, though. A couple funny issues, a little in between. They just did the whole extremist thing, so they needed a little break. And they're going to be making a shift in the comic as well. So this is sort of a transitional issue. These guys, they're having a little bit of break. We're sort of working Orion and Lightray into the team, at least for a while, and but also kind of a funny one. These two, by the way, the corner art, very excellent corner art. Flash and Power Girl and Fire and Ice. And again, you got to say, I mean, obviously Power Girl and Wally West were popular already, but I mean, these books basically made Fire and Ice characters for the DC universe that were going to be used a bunch. I think they have their own series at the moment, or maybe a mini series. So you can't say they did not make an impact with these books. Well, whatever you do want to say it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, maybe share with a friend. I will see you again. So, I didn't do my whole last, oh my goodness. You know, I've done so many of these. How did I skip that? God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. And I will see you again, hopefully soon, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.